Hey, shalom everybody. My name is YahsChief, and I'm the owner of Abraham's Child. And today's video is discussing the topic of Native Americans and the fact that they are part of the lost 10 tribes of Israel. So yes, I'm saying the Native Americans are Israelites. They are Hebrews, Jews. Before I get into this topic though, I want to discuss a few disclaimers. First thing I want to say is this may not include all of the Native American tribes, and why this is important to state we will discuss later on in the video. But the tribes that we know for sure this does include is the Cherokees, Blackfoot, Seminoles, Cheyenne, Wyandot, Delaware, Sauk, Potawatomi, Muskogee, Delaware, Fox, Seneca, Shawnee, and there's a few more. And please forgive me if I said some of those wrong. I'm still learning. Another disclaimer I want to make is that the Jews spoken of in the Bible, the Jews spoken of in the Hebraic Bible are brown. They are Native Americans. They are Hispanic. They are African Americans. The people spoken of in the Bible are not of the Caucasian race. And that's one thing I want to make clear too, because I understand a lot of our people, you know, when you say Bible, we automatically think, oh, that's not about us, that doesn't include us. But no, actually, it is a big fact that the Bible is discussing our history as a people. And whenever you get a chance, I made another video talking about this more in depth, and I want you to check it out whenever you get a chance. I'm going to put the link in the bio below. The last disclaimer I want to make is, this is more so like a fun fact that I came across and noticed. So there's three modern day races that basically make up the tribes of Israel. You have the Hispanics, the Native Americans, and the African Americans. And they basically all make up all the 12 tribes of Israel. There's 2 southern tribes and there's 10 northern tribes. The 2 southern tribes we believe are basically African Americans, Judah, and then you have the Levites. And we also believe the 10 northern tribes are the Native Americans or the Hispanics. There's a man in the Bible named Noah. He had 3 sons, Ham, Shem, and Japheth. These 3 sons are basically the 3 sons that created all of the races we see today. Japheth is the Caucasian, and maybe the Asian as well. As far as, like, you know, Japan, China. Then you got Shem, that is the African American. That is the Native American. That is the Hispanic. And then you have Ham, that is the African. That is some other Middle Eastern, the Babylonians, and a few more. I could go into more depth, but I'll put a link below explaining that as well. But those are the 3 sons of Noah. And what Christianity will teach us, African Americans, Shem, they'll teach us that we are the cursed son of Ham, of Noah. If you read the Bible, it'll tell you Noah cursed Ham because, well, Ham's son, Canaan, because Ham, you know, did some disgraceful things. If you want to read this story, I'll put it below. But Noah put a curse upon him because of that. Now, that curse wasn't pertains to the African people. But what Christianity tries to do is put African Americans and Africans in one group and labeled us as a cursed people. That's what I was taught in the Christian church and the Christian school. Let alone not even to mention the fact that African Americans were killed. A mass amount of us were killed by Christian believing Caucasians, as well as the natives. I believe this was set up like this for a reason, if I'm being honest. Because we literally are all brainwashed as a people. We literally don't know who we are as a people. And if you read the Bible, due to the disobedience of us to the Most High, our God, that's a curse that He said will fall upon us due to not worshiping Him, due to not keeping His laws and statutes. He said you will forget who you are as a people. And that is very true. That's something we know for sure has happened, especially to the African American race and a lot of the Hispanics. We literally don't know who we are as a people. We have no cultural background to lean on except for Africa, or you know, Mexico. We don't know our history, and we've been programmed like that. Now, I'm gonna read Isaiah 43, and this starts at verse 3. This is a passage in the Bible, and I want to read this to show you how the Most High feels about you. And this is a future prophecy he's speaking over his people about the things that are going to happen soon. Now it says, "For I am the Most High your God," or Yah, "the Holy One of Israel." Who is Israel? The 12 tribes. He's saying the Holy One of the Native Americans, the Holy One of the African Americans, the Holy One of the Hispanics. Let me continue to read. It says, "Your Savior, I give Egypt for your ransom, Cush and Seba and your steed. Since you are precious and honor in my sight, and because I love you, I will give people in exchange for your nations. I will give people in exchange for you, nations in exchange for your life." So he's basically saying he'll put other nations at stake for you. He loves you that much. Now, you may be wondering, man, if he loves us this much, why are we going through these things? I'm going to get deeper into it. We're going through these things because we have not loved him back. We have disrespected him. We have treated him wrongly. Therefore, that causes for us to be disciplined. But yeah, when you get a chance, read Isaiah 43, verse 3, starting at verse 3, and read it through, and I want you to just meditate and soak that in. That's talking about you. Now, let me keep going. The next topic I want to get into is, how did the Native Americans get here in the first place? How did they get to the Americas? What we are taught in class is that the Native Americans came up through Asia, past the Beringia Ice Bridge, and then came through Canada, and then trickled down from Canada down to South America. Now, personally, I believe that is true, and here's why. I'm going to read this passage. Now, this passage is 2nd Ezra, or Ezra 4. It has two different names, but they're both the same thing. And what this passage talks about is that the northern 10 tribes of Israel, basically the tribes that the Native Americans are a part of, it tells what happened to them and where they migrated. So I'm going to read it. Starting at verse 40, it says, "Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Osea the king, whom Salmanassar the king of Assyria led away captive, and he carried thee over the waters, and so they came into another land." Now this passage is still discussing the northern 10 tribes being in Israel, where they, their homeland, where they originally started. Now let me continue to read this. It's also talking about the king of Assyria taking them over. So that's important to state, and let me show you why. Verse 41, it says, "But they took this counsel amongst themselves." Who took counsel? The 10 tribes took counsel amongst themselves. The 10 northern tribes were talking amongst each other about what to do next. And what did they do? This is what they did. That they would leave the multitude of the heathen. Who's the heathen? The Assyrians. And go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt. So the northern 10 tribes are talking to one another, saying, look, we keep getting taken over by the heathen, aka Gentiles. That'll be Ham and Japheth. So we want to go to a different land that no one has ever been to before, where we know no one will mess with us, and we can serve the Most High, Yahayasha, like we're supposed to. Now, if you look at verse 41, it says, not verse 41. If you look at verse 42, it says that they might there keep their statutes which they never kept in their own land. And they entered into the Euphrates by the narrow passage of the river. For the Most High then shewed signs for them, and held still the flood till they passed over. Now, me personally, reading this, what I personally got for this, I'm like, flood? What flood is there? Can we consider the ocean as a flood? If so, if we look at the history of the Beringia Ice Bridge, it was literally a bridge formed that came up out of the ocean that connected Asia to North America. Now, does that sound like this passage? To me, it does. It will literally prevent a way. It will show the 10 tribes that, oh, we can just pass through here and go to this new land. Now, I'm gonna continue reading. I just wanted to show, at least point that out. For through that country there's a great way to go. A great way to go. Once again, that ice bridge. That's a very like miraculous thing that happened. You know, science teach us it happened because of this, because of that, and it's true. You know, excuse me. You know, it's true and everything, but that's still a miraculous thing for a landmass to pop up out of the water, enabling someone to cross through into another land. I'm gonna keep reading though. This is verse 45. For through that country there's a great way to go, namely of a year and a half, and the same region is called Asareth. Now, or Arsareth. Now, all Arsareth means in Hebrew is unknown land. A lot of people will make the claim that Arsareth is Africa. But let me ask you this. In my opinion, if Arsareth is Africa, it says an unknown land. If the Israelites were settling in the Middle East, we know they were put into captivity in Egypt. We know that they knew about Ethiopia, which is even lower Africa. So how would we say that Africa is an unknown land? Now the Americas, could we say that's an unknown land? For the most part, yes. But but let's say you don't believe in let's say you're one of those people that say, oh, that's in the Bible. You know, the Bible's fake. That's not true. It's not real. That's okay, because I have another book it's a historical text from Martin Cortez. Martin Cortez is the son of Hernan Cortez, and what he does, he basically talks about, you know, the Native Americans. He talks about who they are as a people, and of course he did some horrible things to the Native Americans as a people. But he documents about who they are, and he goes into detail about it. Now I'm going to read this. I'm going to read what he said. The book is called La Conjuración de Martin Cortez, and it's page 151. Now keep in mind, when I'm reading this, the English is not going to be all the way correct, because I had to translate it from Spanish to English. But if you want to read the book, once again, it's called La Conjuración de Martin Cortez, and it's on page 151. Now he says, in an authority on the 12th chapter of the 4th book of Ezra, the 4th book of Ezra, that's 2nd Ezra, that's the book we just read. Now why is Martin Cortez talking about this book when he's speaking about the Native Americans? We'll continue to speak on it. Who declaring a revelation says that the 10 tribes who were captive by Shalmaneser, king of the Assyrians in the time of King Osi, they took advice to lead the crowd of Gentai. Gentai is the Gentiles, aka the heathens, aka the Assyrians, or anyone who is not a Jew, them, and go into the interior where they never lived, should be inhabited human man, and there they could keep his law, which they had not kept in their land. Whose laws is he talking about that the 10 tribes are trying to keep? The law of the Most High, Yah, God, Ahaya. Now I'm going to skip a little bit. He basically just retells the story that was told already in 2nd Ezra. But then he says this. He says, and so they think that walking so long way through the east have been found in the west, which they approve with some words similar to the Hebrews. So he's basically saying that these 10 tribes, the Native Americans who he's talking about, went so far east that they ended up west. How is this possible? So another thing that also just popped in my mind, Christopher Columbus thought he was in Asia, which is why he called the Native Americans Indians in the first place. This is interesting, but back on topic, if the Beringia Ice Bridge popped up by Asia, right, and it popped up by Asia and it connected Asia to North America. North America is on the west of the on the west of the globe, or whatever you call it. I'm sorry, and then you got Asia. That's literally on the east of the globe. So that's literally, if you got that bridge connecting those two continents, that's literally making it a way for you to go so far east that you will appear west. And he's saying, who did this? The Native Americans. He's saying the Native Americans originated in Asia, basically. We know it's the Middle East, but they went so far east over that Beringia Ice Bridge, they popped up west. And what else does he begin to say? They exemplify in the aji, which are the Indian peppers, which in Hebrew mean means things strong, and of same rights in their idolatry similar to those of the Hebrews. Now, keep in mind, this whole book is this whole book is dedicated to Martin Cortez talking about the similarities between the Native Americans and the Hebraic 10 tribes. And he's saying even in their language they have some words that are similar. And not only that, their idolatry is similar. Idolatry is the worshiping of idols. So even if you want to say, oh, Second Ezra is a religious book, I don't believe in religion, here you go. Martin Cortez is literally telling you how it is himself. A person who we know was a true living historian, and he's still saying that there's much proof the Native Americans are the lost 10 tribes of Israel. But let me keep going. Now, another thing I wanted to talk about is what the Latter-day Saints or the Mormons believe themselves. Now, basically, they believe that the northern 10 tribes of Israel, aka the Native Americans, sailed over to the Americas by ships, inspired by the Most High. And when they got over here, I forgot the name of the guy, but a prophet buried the historical records of the Native Americans, saying how they were Hebrews. He buried them under the ground, and Nephi was his name, Nephi. And when he buried the records under the ground, you know, his son had to finish it off, Moroni, because he ended up dying in the process. And years later, Joseph Smith was walking through the woods, stumbled across the artifact, and translated. They claim, inspired by the Most High, he translated what the place said. Now, I'm not going to get too deep into that. There's certain things I know is true about what they're saying. There's certain things I know that's not. They believe 3 different members of the northern tribes of Israel sailed over to the Americas by ship. One was named Jared, and they believe he sailed over to the Americas by ship around the time of Babylon. The second is Molech. They believe he shipped over here around the Babylonian captivity, and they believe the third is Lehi, and that he shipped over here during the captivity of Babylon as well. But he took a different route, they believe. And when they got over to America, they believed they were battling and, you know, had disputes, and, you know, they believe a lot. Once again, I know it's wrong, so I'm not going to get too deep into that. But just the very fact that even they know that the Native Americans have some ties and correlation to the northern 10 tribes is also something we should start looking into. Now this is another part I wanted to get to. Now, who were the different types of natives in America? And this is what I was talking about in the beginning. I don't want to say every Native American tribe are the lost 10 tribes of Israel for this very reason, because there were multiple tribes here before Christopher Columbus came. I know we like to think that the Native Americans were the only ones here, but that's not true. Before Christopher Columbus came, there were many other people who were in this land as well, that we call the Americas. I want you to read a book called America Being an Accurate Description of the New World. It was written in 1670 by Arnoldus Montanus and John Augaby. Arnoldus was a Dutch teacher, a missionary, explorer, and a publisher. Augaby was a Scottish translator. Now, if you read this book, I read a little bit of it. I'm telling you, the information in there is amazing. I'm going to put the link below in the bio to this book, because what they have done, they took it off the web, you know, and it's in an archive of books that's been archived by the government and stuff like that. So I'm going to put the link below for you to check it out yourself, but it has like nice information in there you will never learn in school or anything like that. Now, these are the 4 types of Native Americans they said were currently in America. The first type you have are the Mongoloid Indians, or with Asiatic features. They are said to have they're dark skinned, they have straight hair, and they have Asian features, and they're similar to the Eskimo. Now, you have another set of Native Americans, the Shemitic Native Americans, excuse me. Now, those Indians or Native Americans are said to be the Israelites. The Shemitic Indians are the natives who we know for sure have correlation to the 10 lost tribes, and they are dark-skinned, have woolly hair, practices Israelite-type customs, and wear Israelite-type clothing. Also, I believe they are said to wear sandals as well. Now, the book goes way deeper into this. Once again, it's amazing that he's literally saying, plain as day, that the Native Americans are the lost 10 tribes of Israel, and he's an explorer. Now, the last native tribe that was in America, way before Christopher Columbus came, were the giants. They were referred to by the natives by the Gayamures, and they were mighty and cruel giants, blood-shedding, white skin, and they carried great bows and arrows. They were cannibalistic, lived without houses, and said to eat their own children. Now, who are these people? I have no clue. But I will say this, I personally believe that the Vikings, because the Vikings also came to the Americas before Christopher Columbus came. And they were said to be very big, ferocious people. They just came, killed, whatever, they were careless about those type of things. And I remember reading something somewhere that the Vikings came here and something happened where they crashed. So they weren't able to sustain themselves in life, so they literally just went around America roaming, you know what I'm saying, trying to survive. Now, could those be those giants? Very well. But those are the four tribes four types of natives that were in America before Christopher Columbus even came. Now, we know that the Hamitic natives are not the 10 tribes. We know the giants aren't. But the Shemitic and the Mongoloids very well could be, and that's just another thing I wanted to share to clarify why I'm not going to say all Native American tribes are part of the 10 lost tribes of Israel, because the simple fact that there was such a vast amount of people in this land before Christopher Columbus even came. It's hard to really differentiate who's who unless you look into the culture and the beliefs and etc. So the next thing I want to get into is the culture, that's within the Native Americans that are very similar to Hebrew cultures and artifacts as well. Now, there's a book called The History of the American Indians, and it was written by James Adair. And in this book, he literally writes 23 arguments about how Native Americans are the people of the Most High Yah, the lost 10 tribes of Israel. He writes 23 arguments proving this. I'm going to put the book below. I'm not even going to go into that. There's so much proof in that book alone, but I'm going to put it below for you to read because I'm going to touch other points. There's also artifacts proving, like, there's artifacts that were in America with Hebraic writing on it, artifacts with Moses and other prophets spoken of in the Bible and the Torah written in America way before Caucasians came and went into this land. So you can't say maybe it was one of them. It's so many artifacts. I'm gonna put the link below too to those. Menorah, 7 Candle Menorah, Michigan, the Newark Keystone, the Back Creek Stone, the Grave Creek Stone in Virginia, and that's only a few of them. There's a lot more. But what the government has been doing, they have been deeming every single Hebraic find in America as fake. The museums will say, "Oh, that's fake," with no proof. Just say it's fake, fake, fake. And we all know why they're doing that, because there's probably some truth to it. There's most definitely some truth to these artifacts they're finding, but they're just deeming them as fake. So there was even a I forgot which one it was. It might have been the Back Creek Stone, but there was a engraving of Hebrew writing. The Smithsonian Museum presented this writing in the museum. It was a stone with Hebrew writing on it, and they presented it in the museum upside down. If you read it upside down, it looks like it's just a bunch of scrabble in it. But one day a historian came and it said, "Oh, you got the stone upside down." They turned the stone upside down and it said it was Hebrew. Now this stone belonged to the Cherokee tribe. So the Smithsonian Museum tried to disregard the stone, but the Cherokees fought to own ownership back of the stone to keep it as their own. They won the court case and everything, but the Smithsonian Museum told them, you can only display the stone upside down. If you ever display the stone right side up, we are able to confiscate it from you. So why would they not want people to be able to see that the stone is written in Hebrew? Like, why are they that aggressive over it? There's something deeper to this. I pray and hope that y'all look into this. Once again, that's just the artifacts. That's only a few of the artifacts. That's not even all of them. Now I'm gonna go into the behavior. I did a little research, and the first the Cherokee tribe, their creation story is called the first fire creation story. And please forgive me if I'm wrong, but what from doing research, what I believe that the first fire creation story is, what they believe happened is there was heaven, what we call heaven, there was heaven above, and there was what we call hell below, and in the middle was earth, and they said earth was nothing but water. It was just no form, it was just water. And if you look in Genesis, it literally says the same thing. It says earth was formless and shapeless and without void, and it was water. It was water there, just water. So that's very similar. I can go deeper and deeper into what else is similar between the story, but for time's sake I'm not. I just know at the end of the story, another thing I want to point out is that they believe 7 fires were lit, and then there were 7 lampstands in the story. Now, what do the Jews light in the Bible? They light a menorah with 7 lampstands on it. And even if you look in Revelations, there's a prophecy that talks about the 7 lampstands in the 7 churches. That's very similar. Another thing in the story, they're talking about how their creator have ropes tied to the 4 corners of the world. If you look in the Bible, all throughout the Bible is 4 corners, 4 corners, 4 corners, 4 winds, 4 corners. The Bible all throughout is talking about the 4 corners of the world. That is way too similar. You know what I'm saying? There's some similarity in between that. But I'm gonna keep going for time's sake. Another thing is, another thing the Native Americans believe in, these spiritual people, known as the Raw people, to the Zuni tribe, and some people call them watchers. Some natives call them keepers, and they're literally people with supernatural abilities. What some people would call aliens. They're able to transport through walls and things like that. It's very spiritual, but at the same time, very intellectual in the mind beings. Now, if you look in the Bible, there's the same people. The Bible talks about these same people, and these people are referred to as Nephilim, demons, and how these people came about were what are angels basically came down, slept with women, creating giants, creating etc., etc., etc. And when Noah's flood came, it wiped those people out. And what it did was cause the spirits to stay, these unclean spirits. And that's what people call aliens today, the Nephilims. That's spoken of in the book of Enoch, if you take the time to read it. I'm not going to go too deep in that because, it's very controversial, but it's true. It's truth in it. This is true. Even I can even show you America even admitted that they're doing work with aliens and stuff like that. But I'm not even going to get into that. That's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day. But yeah, the Raw people and the Zuni native tribes are what the Bible talks about and calls the Nephilim. They also call them star people in the Native American beliefs. Now, on to the next thing. Another thing I saw that's very similar is a lot of the Native Americans wear fringes. What are fringes? Is tassels. It's little strings at the bottom of your clothing, or sometimes, around the tops of your clothing, But a lot of natives wear fringes. And in the Bible, and I believe it's either Leviticus or Deuteronomy, the Most High literally instructs Israel to wear fringes so they can stand out as a people and be identified as people of the Most High. Why are natives wearing fringes? Why are the Israelites commanded to wear fringes? Once again, there's even more proof. This is something, this is something else that came across my mind. Even the dancing in black churches. If you see the dance, us African Americans do when we're filled with the Holy Spirit, how we kind of stomp, you know what I'm saying? You can see the same thing. You can see the same type of dances within the Native American tribes. It's just showing you there's some historic correlation. We are the same people. We are the same people. We come from the same land. We are brothers and sisters. Another thing, in our culture, you don't call your dad by his first name. You know what I'm saying? That's considered disrespectful. In the same sense, what the Jews did in the Bible, they did not call the Most High by his name. They would either abbreviate his name. As an example, his name is, I feel bad for saying it, but his name, what we know his name is basically close to Yahayasha. And in the Bible, what they would do, they would write YH, because they feared his name so much. And if you look, many times we refer to the Most High as a father. Now, another thing that's similar is Native Americans have tribes. Israelites have tribes. Come on. Now you know, I'm not going to go into detail, but you know what type of people have tribes, and you know what type of people don't have tribes. You know what I'm saying? Tribes are Native Americans, you got African tribes, but it kind of stops around there. If you know what I'm saying? So, another thing, another thing, the Most High, he dropped this in my spirit one day. I was just praying to the Most High if there's any scriptures he has for me. And while he was leading me to find this information out, he showed me Psalms 18:34. Psalms chapter 18:34. Now this is David. This is David talking about the Most High. Now David says, he trains my hands for war. So he's saying the Most High trains his hands for war. My arms can bend a bow of bronze. Now, we know the Bible was written very, it was written way back in time. Now around that same time frame, who do we know carried bows? And who do we know don't carry bows? Who didn't carry bows? So in that sense, we know who to exclude and we know who to include when we're deciphering, could this be this people or could this be that people? Now we know good and well, Caucasians did not carry bows. They did not use bows and arrows for weaponry. That was the Native Americans first, and some tribes from Africa first, aka the 12 Israelite tribes, the Middle East, that region. So, let me go on to the next point. Now, symbolism in the Bible, it talks about the 12 tribes, and it talks about how each tribe represents something. As an example, it says Judah is a lion. It says Dan is a snake. It says Issachar is a mule or a donkey, and it keeps going. Now, we know good and well that the natives, they use a lot of metaphors, a lot of personification. They do a lot of comparing animals to the ways of people. We see that all throughout the Bible. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of similarities. The Cherokee green corn ceremony. This is a holiday. The Americans, the Native Americans celebrate. And I have a chart that compares the Cherokee green corn ceremony to the fall feast of Israel, side by side. Literally side by side. The customs are the same. In the Cherokee green corn ceremony, it is a feast of harvesting in late summer of fall. Now, in the fall feast of Israel, it is a feast of harvesting in the late summer or fall. Green corn ceremony, The ceremony begins by all members going to a running body of water and washing. Fall Feast of Israel, ritual immersions in running water is customary prior to Yom Kippur. The ceremony, now this is back to the green corn ceremony. The ceremony begins with fasting and a season of forgiveness. Now back to the Israelite feast. Yom Kippur is a day of fasting and a time of forgiveness. It goes on and goes on. The similarities keep going and going and going. It's you know, it's ridiculous. I'm gonna be real. The similarities are right there. And I'm gonna see if I can post this below for everyone to look at as well. Man, I might do like a Google Docs or something. But yeah, I'm gonna keep it pushing because of time. But language. Now the original name of God for the Native Americans is Unet La Nuhi. Unet La Nuhi. And I believe that means the Father of the Sky. I may be completely wrong. It means the Great Spirit. That's right. Thank you, Almighty God. It means the Great Spirit. Now, is the Most High a Great Spirit? Yes. Is Yahayah a Great Spirit? Yes. So, just because a lot of people I see are saying the natives did not refer to the Most High as there's a name very close to Yahayah that they refer to, or Yahweh, that's what it is, Yahweh. They said they did not refer to their God as Yahweh until they've been taken over, you know, by the white man. But even if the original name you called your God was Unet La Nuhi, which means simply Great Spirit, let's be real, the Most High is also a Great Spirit. Very well, it could have been, we call the Most High many things. We call him the Yah of Israel. We call him a father, Abba. We call him many things. We call him many things. So just because the name was originally Unet La Nuhi, which means Great Spirit, does not mean that this was not used in reference to the Great Spirit, the Most High, Yahayah, the greatest there is. So I just wanted to first, I wanted to make that point a point as well, because I see a lot of debating between that, saying we do not call him that. We didn't call him that till we got taken over. We called him originally Unet La Nuhi. So yeah, that's still Great Spirit. That could be in reference to the Most High. Now another thing I noticed is that Yah, Y-A-H, is a word used in the Native American language very often. Yah and Yahayah. And it says 2 Chronicles 7:14, this is a verse in the Bible, it says, "If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sins and will heal their land." So you got Sequoia. That was a very very respected figure in the Native American community. Sequoia. His name is said to mean hog, but you still got Yah in there. He's literally called by the name of the Most High Yah, Sequoia. You got, in the Bible, you got Joshua, Yah, and in the Bible, in Hebrew, the true naming, how you truly say that word is Yahshua. That's how you're supposed to say it. You got Jeremiah in the Bible. That's Jeremiah. Then you got Elijah in the Bible. You're supposed to say Elijah. So and now let's go to the Native American language. You got Yiyah, which means a curse from God, or Yah. You got Shiyats, which means my gift from God. You got Dime, excuse me if I say this wrong, but you got Dime Bike Yah, which means land given from God to Navajo. You got Yati, that means hello or have a blessed day. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to add in some clips. Excuse me. I'm going to add in some clips of some Native American dances and singing. And I want you to hear what they're saying. It literally sounds like they're saying Yah, Yahayah, multiple times within their music and their songs.
So this is just a recap right here for those who might not know the true name of the Creator. Psalm 68:4, extol him who rideth upon the heavens by his name Yah. Exodus 3:14, and God said unto Moses, I am that I am. And when you look into the Hebrew at I am, it's pronounced Eyah, Eyah. And also hallelujah, it's not hallelujah, it's hallelujah. And also Yat-eh, that's Navajo for have a blessed day. And so that's why I say Yat-eh, Yahweh, please wake us up.
Jealous Ahaya, for Ahaya is my strength and song, and he has become my redeemer. I will sing unto Ahaya, for he is highly exalted.
Okay, now I hope you see what I mean. If you look through those video clips and listen, Yahaya, all throughout their songs. Shout out to YahsChief. I used that video clip from a video that he used, and he's also a Native American that talks about how the natives are the 10 lost tribes of Israel. I'm gonna put some of his links.